Starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. China, 67%.
You may even get tired of winning. Please, please, it's too much winning.
Everybody's scared right now and has a ton of fear in the markets because Trump has imposed tariffs on certain countries, and it makes it harder for the economy to grow. And the economy is going down overall right now. The stock market is tanking and a lot of things are tanking, and people are very fearful. A lot of people are even more fearful than they were when
China
first happened. And so this is a very bad economic time, and it's about to get even worse. And so in this video, I want to walk you through, for info businesses, coaches, consultants, whatever you do. You could run a brick and mortar business for all I care. This is going to be applicable to everyone. I'm going to be talking about building recession-proof businesses and how to actually become recession-proof, because a lot of people don't have any clue how to do this. They don't prepare at all. And again, I just want to remind you, I've been saying this since middle of last year. I have video from even November before the election. I said, hey, there's going to be a recession come the beginning of next year, beginning to middle of next year. And by next year, I meant 2025. And so I'm going to be talking through a few different things in this video, how to actually handle this recession and how to get actual better results during a recession than you would just on a regular term, right? And so all of these principles are recession-proof principles. I'm not going to be spewing some bullshit out of Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. It's just not interesting to me. I've heard it millions of times, and I know you have too. So it's not some BS from there, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to position your transformation, right? A lot of people try to sell the offer. They try to solve small problems. And if you solve small problems, you're not going to get that good of results. So you have to really look at what are the core desires of your audience, right? First thing you got to do is frame your offer as a before and after story. If you're still framing it as just like, hey, I'm going to be a fitness coach, or hey, I'm going to help you get your mindset right, I promise you no one cares, right? Core fundamental of a recession is that when people feel like they have less money, even though they may have more money, when they feel as if they have less money, they're going to be a lot less abundant, right? They're going to spend a lot less. They're not going to be willing to put down $10,000 packages as they would be when we're not in a recession. But what I will say is during
China,
they had the stimmy checks, and the stimmy checks actually really boosted the economy and info, because a lot of people got some money and then they just went back, spent it on some information because they thought that that was going to change their life, right? What I learned is that when they have lots of money, a lot of people are now investing into info products. It's a lot bigger of a space than it was even 5-6 years ago when I first started in the info game, right? So you really have to focus on not just being the same as everyone else, because the more people are fearful, the more they're going to try to make side hustle money, and the more competition you have, right? And so this is still a golden age right now, but as we move into this recession in this economic period, a lot of people are going to be talking about, we're going to build you a funnel, or we're going to do outreach for you, or that kind of thing. There's going to be a lot more people that are amateurs that are moving into the space. And so you need to position yourself as not an amateur. You need to position yourself as someone who is selling a transformation that people ultimately desire, right? So you have to position it as a before and after story, meaning that you went from one point to another point. And this transformation has to be a full transformation. It can't be part of the problem that you're solving. You have to solve the full problem. And a lot of people come out and they try to solve a piece of a problem, but they don't solve the full thing, right? So if you're doing a lead magnet, for example, a lot of people will try to solve a small piece of a problem and then just let people upsell to their high ticket. That's not how it works. You have to solve a bigger problem, right? And so that's the biggest point that I'm going to make right now, is that if you're solving small problems that are $27 a month problems, you're not going to get paid through this recession, right? People really start to cut their smaller costs first, and ultimately they look to cut bigger costs, and they're going to cut bigger costs. They're not going to be dropping $10,000 paid in full on programs that are just amateur BS programs. But what they will do is they will rather invest in their information and cut off recurring expenses, because those recurring expenses, they don't factor in how they add up. So if you're selling low ticket and you're not having a high perceived value of your product, you're not going to be able to make it through this. So instead of saying something like we build funnels or we do outreach, you got to sell the transformation. We help coaches double their sales without hiring closers or touching ads or spending all their time on calls and closing people, right? You have to sell the output, right? The output and the result that you get is what you're selling. It's not just like a headline, right? So the biggest piece of building a great headline, building a great transformation is knowing the audience. And this is where we need an anti-fragile niche, right? A lot of people have niches, and I know you're gonna say, oh, well, this is in Alex Hormozi's book. This is not no shit that was in Alex Hormozi's book. He talks about find your niche. I'm talking about finding an anti-fragile niche that doesn't crumble under pressure, right? There's a lot of people who crumble under pressure, but if you can find a really good niche, you're not gonna be able to have that person stop investing in you, right? You want to have someone that continues to invest even when money's tight. This is the most important thing that you do. And that transformation that you sell has to be more important than every other expense that they have. They have to have that at the top of their priorities list, right? So if you are selling a low priority transformation, people aren't going to continue to buy it. If you're selling, hey, I'll help you do, video editing, people aren't going to buy that because video editing is a service that they can go find somewhere else, right? So think about if the economy tanked tomorrow, would your clients still need this thing? And would this still be something that they would continue to pay for left and right every time they're going to pay for this over everything else and over all the other expenses they have, right? Because a lot of times it's not. And you need to pick a niche that has a recurring problem as well, right? If you try to sell something that's $27 a month, but it only solves a one-time problem, people are not going to continue to buy it. You need to solve a problem that continues to occur month after month so that you can build something that compounds. Because if you're just collecting one-time payments, a lot of coaches do this. They'll collect $3K up front for a lifetime program, and now you got to constantly find new customers. That's not what you should be trying to do. You need recurring revenue, and it doesn't necessarily have to be month to month. But if you can get paid in full and then have them start to pay on a retainer and continually solve that problem month after month, that is going to be optimal. And it's really hard to do with info because with info, you are solving a transformation. After you solve that transformation, they need to move on to another mentor. And so that's why it's very important that you have certain things inside of your info offer that are software products, that are things that they will continue to need even after they get every piece of information that they have. Even after they get every piece of information that you have, and even after they make that transformation, they still need that certain product. So that could be software. For us, for example, it's our software Social Climb that does hyperstory viewing, brings inbound leads. That software has people continually needing it, even after they complete our mentorship program and have gotten all the info that they can possibly squeeze out of us. And another thing is you have to constantly be gaining value. You have to constantly be acquiring new knowledge, right? If you're not investing in your own knowledge, you're not going to be able to actually survive the recession because people, especially in the info space, if you don't have more info and you don't sound at least a little bit more susceptible to knowing something, people aren't going to actually buy from you. They're not going to trust you or know you or like you, right? So your outcome, this is a huge thing, is your outcome needs to be fast. Right? If you can't get people a quick time to first value, people will stop buying after that first month. And so if you don't have something that is very fast, and I'm not saying build a get rich quick scheme, that's not what I'm saying at all. You need to just have a fast result, right? And the way you can do that is having some sort of burning desire that they're actually going to go out there and achieve, especially with info and without doing something that's done for you. It's easy to get quick time to first value, especially with AI. It's unreasonable to not have very good time to first value with a done for you offer. But if you're selling coaching or selling info or selling something that doesn't involve you as the actual product, that involves them still, and they still have to take an action to get a result, you need to have a burning desire product. And the way that you get that is through my FIRE framework, right? FIRE framework, the first thing is it needs to be foundational to their identity. So you need to look at what are things that people aren't going to cut spending on. That is identity. For example, if someone's a gym rat, they're not going to cancel their gym membership. If someone's a creator, they're not going to stop building their brand. They might stop paying you for video editing, but they're not going to stop their brand as a whole. And so how can you build a product that is actually something that's viable to their identity? You need to have people identify with your product and say, hey, I need this thing, right? Second is it needs to be income linked or it needs to be investment justified, right? So they need to be able to see an ROI from it. If they buy something, they have to be able to see how it's going to benefit them and how they're going to make a return on that, right? And that return doesn't always have to be monetary. And so when we're looking at fitness offer, right? People can invest in a fitness offer and be able to get their health back out of it. But if they don't see more of an ROI in you and they can't justify the investment in you, they're not going to buy it. Again, with a make money online offer, it's very simple. They have to be able to make their money back by the end of the first mentorship period. So that means if it's a 3-month program, they need to have at least doubled, tripled their revenue in the first 3 months if that's what you're selling. It has to be quick. That's literally it. It has to have a quick income linked or investment justified result that you're going to provide to them, right? And keep in mind that recessions equal fear. People get very fearful in a recession. So you have to become hyper rational. And a lot of times emotion goes out the window, but sometimes people are still emotional. And so you have to be able to cater to people's emotional side and their logical side and their urgent side as well, which is a third one that's missed a lot. A lot of people will say emotional versus logic, but you also have to cater to their urgency and make them make that decision now, right? So you have to make them be able to justify a spend. The R in the FIRE framework is relentlessly persistent, right? It has to hurt to ignore. If they are 600 pounds and they're overweight, it's gonna hurt to ignore that, right? If they are still broke, yes, it's gonna hurt to ignore that. And so you have to provide a way to show them that this is a persistent problem that's not just gonna go away, right? It doesn't just have a magic pill that's gonna fix it. They have to actually be relentlessly present, right? And so that problem can't just stop during a recession. People still spend money during a recession. They just don't have as much used capital to spend, right? Because when you look at a short-term debt cycle, what actually happens during a recession? Let me try to explain this in as plain English as possible, right? People are not able to take out as much debt to basically spend, right? So if people can't take out debt on credit cards and loans to spend, especially on offering a high ticket program, if they're not able to take out as much debt because they've used that debt in the past, that means that people are going to not have as much money to spend. Now, as the economy grows back from that debt cycle, we look at the fact that there is more money in circulation. People have more money, but that money isn't as valuable. And so that's where you really need to raise your price at that point. But this problem needs to be persistent even when they have no money, and especially when someone has no money, you can cater to their emotion a lot more, which is part 4. The E in the FIRE framework is emotionally charged, right? They have to have an emotional attachment. And that means catering to their emotions of what does this actually do? If it's, hey, I'll help you make money online because you're broke right now because there's a recession, that caters to their emotions. But more than that, you have to cater to, like, what does this do for you? What does this do for your family, right? And so if it's not something like that, it's going to be very tricky to sell. And probably the biggest thing that you need to be able to do is show them that this is the only way to do something, right? You have to show them that this is the only way to receive that result. There has to be a unique mechanism in place that shows them that they can't just go to some other person and get the same result. They can't just go do something else and get the same result. If you're selling YouTube shorts and YouTube automation, you can't go out and say and let them know that Amazon FBA works. You have to go and throw rocks to those enemies and be able to persuade those people. And persuasion is the #1 thing that you need to be doing to be able to actually sell during a recession. It's all about how persuasive you can actually be. And so I hope this video cleared up some things, gave you some sauce, and gave you some insights on the market as we move into this recession and as we move into less stable financial times. This video is a guide on what you can do to actually not go under. And so if you found it helpful, just go ahead and drop me a sub. I drop videos like this pretty often. And like I said, this is not something that's just copy paste out of Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. Believe it or not, there's a lot of research that went into creating this video, creating all of my videos, and a lot of knowledge that I have like this that I can share with you. So what I want you to do, honestly, just shoot me a text with the word recession and text it to this number right here. This is my personal phone number. It's literally my personal phone number. You can shoot me a text or WhatsApp message. Just shoot me the word recession so I know where you came from, because you always got to be tracking. It's another thing during a recession. Super important to be tracking where your money's coming from, right? Because if you ain't tracking, you're slacking. So just shoot me a text, shoot me a WhatsApp message, and I'll be happy to respond to you and hopefully give you some more sauce. But hope this video was helpful for you. Hopefully we can save some people here during this, and I wish you the best.